Welcome to our podcast, Hiking in Heels, with life coach Teresa Coltrane and full-time mum and writer Jessica Heedy Gandolfi. Hiking through life can sometimes feel like we are literally hiking in our heels.
As women in today's modern world, the pressure to tick all the social boxes is at its peak. Being perfect, being strong, having it all together, the list goes on. Inspired by our own journeys and life struggles, we have come together, and we are on a mission to empower other women to overcome their fears and tap into their greatness.
With special guests and our own personal stories, our aim is to bring light and healing to inspire you to take your life to the next level. As Coco Chanel once said, keep your head, heels, and standards high.
We invite you to kick off your heels, relax, and enjoy the show.
Feels so good as a woman to be able to stand in your truth and own who you are, like on every level, and not be apologetic about it.
Welcome back to episode 12. Makeup artist and beauty liaison Samantha Agostino's passion and talent for aesthetics began early in childhood. She was hired to do her first professional wedding makeup at the age of 16, and she continues to make her extraordinary mark in bridal, fashion, print, and video.
Samantha's work has graced numerous covers such as IAN and NJ Bride and has been featured by top publications including Grace Ormonde, Carats and Cake, and The Knot. A celebrated bridal fashion specialist, she recently collaborated with international luxury wedding planner Jean-Charles Vaneck and Ellie Youseff, Couture, for the Villa Casa Casuarina in Miami. Samantha also regularly leads beauty teams for NY Fashion Week, where her work has been highlighted on WWD and Vogue Brazil pages.
So relax, kick off your heels, and enjoy the show.
My name is Samantha Agostino. I am a professional makeup artist and owner of Samantha Agostino Makeup. We provide on-location luxury beauty services for brides in the greater New York area. I am a full-time mom of two beautiful daughters. They are 9 and 11. So it's definitely tricky trying to balance everything, running a profitable business and being an involved hands-on mother, which I'm sure you guys can identify with.
What keeps you balanced with all of this?
I love that question because there is no balance. There is no balance. I think that for me, scheduling is key. I need organization. So, planning out and batching definitely for my business works, and it helps me function as a better mom. So I know that only certain days I'm doing consultation calls, certain days I'm physically seeing clients, and the other days and times are dedicated to my children. And I literally have blocks on my Google Cal, so I can't schedule anything else. So that helps, but there's definitely no balance, and that changes week to week. And I mean, if it's not the kids driving you crazy, then it's your business stressing you out. So,
So you're just learning to flow with all of it.
Yeah, but definitely keeping a routine. I am definitely a product of structure and regimen. So knowing that every morning I'm waking up at the same time, and that's the time that I have my coffee, I journal, and then I take 10 minutes to meditate or listen to some type of affirmation or, some type of positive listening. That's how I have to start my day.
So how exciting. I know the last time we connected, you were sharing that you were going to have an opportunity to get to do makeup at Fashion Week in New York. Did you get to do that?
Yes, I was able to lead the New York show for Flying Solo, which is a design house that hosts 36 international designers all underneath one roof. So their show is massive, consisting of about 75 models. It's a lot of work, but also a lot of fun. Always stretches me creatively.
Oh my gosh.
And how many girls do you have working with you to deal with that level of models and to do all of their makeup and keep them on track and timing and everything?
Yeah, because time is definitely an issue backstage at Fashion Week. We always like to have more hands on deck. So that consisted of about 18 makeup artists backstage.
Wow.
It's always a lot of fun.
That sounds so much fun. So, like, explain, like, what that experience is like.
It's definitely a lot of preparation, especially working with collaborative designers. So everybody has their own different style, and they make different clothing and accessories, and everybody has like a different look. So figuring out the makeup look and the hair look that's going to come down the runway needs to kind of be cohesive throughout. So the collections. So that's always a challenge, but they always like to do things that are out of the box. And so this year was like a gradient metallic silver mask with bottom red eyelashes. Yeah, always, always really.
I love it.
Not your typical beauty.
So how far in advance do you have to start planning that? Because you must have to collaborate with them in advance to plan and get their vision so that you can go off and create what you need to do from the makeup aspect.
Right. So that is the tricky part. Ideally, more time to, put your team together and to pull different inspirations and test all the different looks. More time is always better. It never works that way in fashion. So it's usually like, if I have 2 weeks to throw it all together, that's a lot of time.
Wow.
Yeah.
My goodness. Well, it sounds so exciting. I'm just intrigued by the whole process, but it was so fun. I remember we got to connect, on the wedding day, and I just enjoyed our conversations. We were just talking about, just women and entrepreneurship and just all the wonderful communities that are kind of kicking off out there. And I just really loved your story. And I'm so happy that this was able to work out and we could connect and have you on the show, because as our goal is, we're just, lifting up other women and supporting them on their journeys. And so I just wondered, could you tell us more about your journey and about, how you got started with what got you to where you are now?
I am at a place in my life and my career where I feel like I am finally coming into my own. My career has significantly taken off. I own a luxury bridal beauty business based here out of New York City, where I specialize in catering to brides here in New York. I want to say on the higher end of the scale. So I have a certain clientele. I definitely have a niche market. And my journey began, I was 16 when I did my very first wedding. But even before that, there are pictures in my family, photo boxes of me in my grandmother's nightgowns with makeup smeared all over my face. So I guess I started very young. Something that's really funny is
you were destined to be doing something within that field by the sounds of it, creative and artistic and beautiful.
And it's very funny how things like that work out, because I never envisioned this for me at this stage of my life, but I am so happy that this is exactly where I wound up.
So did you go straight into that from age 6, dressing up in your grandmother's nightdress, moving forward? Did you go straight into that?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So life, finished high school. I was always involved in makeup and fashion and beauty. Always very interested and just always a connection. So even after school and college, I was still in the fashion industry. I used to work for a clothing company in their showroom here in New York City. And then, life takes a spin and you fall in love and you get married. And for me personally, I gave everything up to help who is now my ex-husband. So I essentially had no career and I became a stay-at-home mom. And I guess probably like so many of your listeners can identify with, when you do that, although raising your children is gratifying, you still feel like there's like this sense of losing some of yourself. So fast forward to 3 years of marriage and then getting divorced when my children were 18 months and 2.5. I had to reevaluate my life and figure out what it was that I was going to do to support a family and importantly to me, do something that was going to fulfill me and make me happy. I could have done anything and gotten any type of job to pay the bills and put a roof over the girls' heads, but it was important for me to have a sense of happiness and just, I needed fulfillment all the way around.
Mm. Yeah.
So I decided to sign up for aesthetic school. And I'm a licensed esthetician. And so I dabbled in many areas of skincare and beauty, but wound up doing makeup in a salon. And that's where I met a client who owned a local bridal shop. And I did her makeup for an event, and she just started asking me if she can send clients my way. And it was just kind of like this organic flow that happened.
Wow. I love it. It's like you were listening to your intuition and your heart, and you were guided to something that's led you to, finding more of your purpose and where you're at. And what a beautiful thing to share to your girls when they're older. I was just thinking, you made such a big decision to, find a way to honor yourself, but still take care of them. And I just think that that's really beautiful and very powerful. And I just can't wait for you to be able to share this story with them when they're older to understand it. So, and I just love how you said, you're like, okay, I knew this is what I wanted to do. I took the steps to do it. And then before you knew it, you had someone that was organically already leading you down your path.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. I love that story. I mean, it resonates so closely with me, with my situation. I'm divorced, mum of two, and, stay-at-home mum for 10 years, losing a sense of who I was, giving up everything in my career to support my now ex-husband and his career. And you wake up one morning and you think, hold on, who am I? Where did I go to? What's important to me? How am I going to do this and move forward and show my children that I'm capable of doing something to be something out there that fulfills me, not just earning money for the sake of it, but doing something that makes you feel good. When you wake up every day, that fills you with joy, that fills you with passion and happiness. And it's a huge challenge to be able to do that. But I think one of the things that you did, going to college to learn a skill, is just so empowering. I remember I used to work in skincare. That was my trade when I left college, was skincare. And I learned that skill. And I remember the woman who I trained under, she had said, learn how to do something. Learn a skill. Because if you ever fall on hard times, you have a skill that you could go into any town in any city around the world, and you can say, I want a job. I can do this. Give me a job. And you can support yourself through the skill that you've learned anywhere in the world, no matter what happens and where you are at what point in your life. If you have a skill and a passion for that skill, it can turn into so much more, which clearly is exactly what has happened for you. And to be able to show your girls, as Teresa said, how empowering is that for them to see? I mean, I wish the listeners could see where you're sitting right now. What we see is this beautiful office space with these gorgeous photographs of these stunning brides, and you just look glowing, and you look so full of just excitement and joy, and it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that. I really commend you on what you've done. I think it's amazing.
Thank you.
Amazing.
I think you said passion, and I feel like that is a huge component to anyone's success. You have to love what you're doing. You have to be in it wholeheartedly, and it needs to light you up from inside.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I just love how you knew that, because even in times of stress like that, like you said, it's so easy to just go out and get that job that's going to pay the bills, but it's like your soul kind of already knew that wasn't going to be fulfilling for you. And I think the important thing that we kind of keep talking about in themes as we have guests is really, doing what you love really shapes your life, and it really gives you so much more purpose. And, even though the path might not be clear and it seems scary, if you know that there's something out there that you want to do or that you're passionate about, find a way to do it, because that's what's going to bring you the most joy, and that's what's going to provide that happiness and sense of purpose for you in life.
Exactly. And then surrounding yourself with other positive people, I think, is huge as well. So, I mean, the beauty industry, especially as, starting off as a freelancer, the money's not rolling in, but
right.
It's very poorly paid. Yeah,
it
was for what really you do, for the hats that you wear in that situation. You know, you're a therapist, you're a counselor, you're offering treatments, you know, you're there to listen and to make somebody feel better. You know, you're offering all of these services and you're getting so close to somebody. You're touching somebody's face, somebody's body. You know, it's so intimate. And the salary that you earn from that is really quite minimal when you consider how close you're becoming to your clients and how much joy and support and love that you're actually bringing to them. But I think I remember one of my mentors back in the day said to me, be the best at what you can do and the money will follow. And I think that's so true.
I couldn't agree more. That's pretty much what happened. I finally fell into my own and, you know, started taking what was just a love and a hobby and really honing it as a business and learning as much as I possibly could about, you know, building the business, running the business, how to niche and market myself. And then, you know, just went from a freelancer to now I have freelancers who work for me, which is great.
That's so wonderful. So I wondered, you know, as you know, we talk about, you know, following your passion and purpose and learning as you go. What keeps driving you on the days that seem harder than the other days? What keeps you motivated?
I think the main thing that keeps me motivated is this industry is ever changing and it can be anything that I want it to be. So I'm not limited to just doing wedding makeup for brides. You know, I decided one day that bridal fashion is also a passion of mine. And so how am I going to tap into that? Well, I just started doing photo shoots for free for anybody who would have me to build up a portfolio and reached out blindly to dozens and dozens and dozens of designers offering my services, obviously getting no response in the beginning, but just planting enough seeds and things flourish. Like I don't know if I mentioned it before, but then this season, my company is leading 3 bridal fashion shows for New York Bridal Fashion Week, and they're pretty big designers, which is really cool.
How does that make you feel?
It is kind of surreal for me. I think I am far from my biggest cheerleader. I just kind of take that yes, put it in a box, and keep moving. I probably should celebrate my wins a little bit more.
Let's celebrate now. Yeah, congratulations. That's a huge deal. How exciting.
It's pretty cool. Yes. So my very first bridal fashion show that I ever did, I kind of knocked it out of the park. It just so happened that I met, I have a mutual friend at Kleinfeld. And so my first bridal fashion show was Randy Finoli's debut collection. And it aired on like the Say Yes to the Dress and TLC. It was like a huge deal. And I didn't, and for me, I was just so wrapped in the moment that I didn't get a chance to actually recognize the magnitude of what it was that I just accomplished. But
oh my gosh, that is so exciting. So something I'm thinking of is, as the listeners, if there's a listener out there that might be in that space where they're in that crossroads or in that transition of having to start over or getting ready to take those steps, could you maybe share like what inside you made you follow yourself? Like you said, you could have made the choice to go just get a regular job, or you decided to follow this passion and purpose. Was there some sort of turning point? Was there something that happened that you could share that could maybe help others that might be in the same exact position?
I've always been a very free spirit and very lighthearted. And through that time in my life, I felt very heavy and not like myself. I kind of threw myself into personal development, whether it was like through exercise or just, meditation, anything I could listen to that would try to shift my mindset. But there was one specific instance I'll never forget. I'm like one of those people who's a jack of all trades. I have a real estate license from many, many moons ago. And I remember being offered a position with, are you laughing because you have a real estate license too?
Yeah, I'm doing it.
I know, like, this is just turning out to be so
We're very connected. I got offered a job as a property manager for a Toll Brothers community, and the pay was fantastic. The perks were amazing. I would have been given like discounted housing in beautiful Princeton, New Jersey. And I remember walking into the office and looking at it, and literally everything was beige. The walls were beige, the desks were beige, and the carpet was beige. And I looked around and I said, could I sit here every day and like feel inspired? Could I be happy looking at these beige walls every day? And that moment was my turning point. I know it's like so random, but for me, that was my light bulb aha moment where I said, no, that's it. I need to go get my aesthetics license.
Yeah. As simple as that is, I still love it though, because it's like, I can, resonate with that. Like, even when I was going through the process of my divorce, I remember sitting there thinking, what does the next 10 years of my life look like? And I had a glimpse of it, and I just knew that that's not for me. This is not suitable. Like, I can't do this. And so maybe it's just as simple as that is, if you're someone in a crossroads or in a transition, just thinking about your daily life and where you're going to be in the next 5 to 10 years. And is it in line with what you're about to do? Is that the life that you want to lead? Because it's happening right now. Every present moment we're in, we're creating and building our future,
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. It's funny that I walked into a beige room and now my life is just full of color. Literally.
Yeah.
I'm surrounded by color all the time, So my word of advice to people would be just pay attention to even the most minute signs. Just it's all there for a reason. It's all there for a reason.
That's it. It's listening to those intuitive hits. And that was a huge one for you. It's like, yeah, beige isn't going to cut it for me. I need more than beige. I need more color in my life. But, listening to that and acting on it, because we all get these hits, but we just don't sometimes act or pay attention or take them seriously enough. But inside, that's where you really know. If you listen to what's inside, that first intuition, that first hit, that's what's going to take you to where you need to go. But most of the time we're so busy running around or just not paying attention enough to those hits that we just let them go by. And then we end up just on this treadmill of life, which we're not fully thriving in or fully passionate about. So I think that's amazing. What do you think has been your biggest lesson through all of this?
I think my biggest lesson would be not to compromise who you are for anyone.
That's great. Yeah.
People have to accept you and love you for everything that you are, faults included. And now in hindsight, looking back on, my past marriage, and those signs were there from the very beginning. Like, I don't even know why we got married. He doesn't like me. Like, he did like nothing about me, like looking back at certain things. So I think that there was a part of me that knew that, but you want things to work, and there's like, instead of listening to your inner voice, you listen to your head, and there's all this outside pressure. You're 26, you should get married. He's a good guy. He makes a good living. Blah 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 blah. Right? And I think about like. So it's very funny that you say this. I'm engaged now. My fiance was just cleaning out the basement, and there's a picture from my wedding, right? And I never forget it, because I don't know why the photographer even took this picture, but I was bawling on the church steps walking into the cathedral. My father's right next to me, and I remember saying, "Daddy, I don't want to do this." And he said, "Sam, I think you might just be nervous. You just cold feet," like that. And I was hysterically crying, and the photographer captured that. Like, it was ugly cry, boo-hoo cry, not like happy wedding.
So not happy,
Yeah.
That was the time whenever you didn't listen, because society says and everybody says this is what you need to do. It's all going to be fine. But deep down, you knew it just wasn't going to work for you.
I knew it.
Then.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
But I think I heard something this morning actually, which is so true. And this girl, she says, your head can only turn so far. And the reason for that is because you don't want to see what's behind you. Sometimes you need to turn around and look at what's behind you so you can see how far you've come. But you don't want to be keeping looking back, because what are you going to learn from that? You need to take what you can see and learn and then go forward, move forward. That's why we're looking that direction, and you just have to keep moving forward. And then every now and again take stock, but see how far you've come and what you've learned from that. So I'm sure that experience itself, you look back and you're like, wow, I've learned so much from that and moved so far away from there now.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
It feels so good as a woman to be able to stand in your truth and own who you are, like on every level, and not be apologetic about it. And maybe it's because I'm, you know, in my 40s, and I heard like that's like the pivotal age of when you start to become very comfortable with who you are as a person. But it's just so liberating. And if I could feel this way in my 20s, I wish we could, you know, but I think it takes a life.
I think 40 is the best decade. I'm all in there.
I'm on my way. I love that though. It's like standing in your truth, owning your truth, and not being apologetic for it. Those words are so like huge for us women to understand and know. I think so much of the time we're used to people pleasing. We're used to, you know, doing everything we think we're supposed to do or what we're told or everyone outside of us. And it's just, you know, that story has to stop. Ladies, like, we just have to stop. Like, so many of us grew up like that and maybe still exist like that, and it's not true. Like, we all are so unique and have something very special to offer, and owning your own truth is really the way to finding true happiness. And it's, you know, I just love how you said owning your own truth and being unapologetic for it.
Absolutely.
Well, I can't wait for the 40s then. Yeah. I've enjoyed the 30s, but man, now I'm ready to go to the 40s. And this is what it looks like.
30s, that was my growth period. That was for me, you know. I think it's funny how, you know, at different stages of people's lives, we all experience different things, but the end result, I feel, is pretty much the same, right?
Yeah. But you choose how it's going to play out. You get that choice, and sometimes we forget that we have a choice about how that's going to look, and it's up to us to make it turn out that way. We have everything we need inside of us. Our guest last week said that. It's so true, but sometimes we forget, or we don't look far enough within to see that we have it all there.
Yeah. And maybe it's about being brave for, like, speaking your truth. Like, both of you guys, like, what would you say that helps you, like, stand in that truth and be unapologetic about it? Like, what does that mean? Like, if we were going to explain it to somebody, what does that look like to you guys?
Good question.
That is a good question.
I think it's a good question, and I think for me, it's learning to accept yourself, to love yourself. And I think that's a huge part of it. And as you, Samantha, I spent a couple of years working on myself, going within, taking these classes, following different directions to find out more, taking time out to find out who I am after being a full-time mum for the past 10 years. Who am I, and what's inside of me, and where do I need to grow? And realizing that actually it doesn't really matter what anyone else thinks. It's what is important to you. But in order to stand in that power, you have to believe in you, and you have to love you, and you have to respect you, and you have to see that you are worthy. There's no one else like you. You are unique, and it's up to you to own that.
Definitely. For me, it was stepping into fear and letting go of certain fears that I didn't even know were there until I was kind of left feeling completely alone and destroyed. And it's almost like you're afraid. All your life, you're probably afraid to be alone, right? So then finally when that happens, I had to deal with a lot of, like, mental mindset issues, because I kept saying, like, I failed as a wife, I failed as a mother, you know. There was just like this whole failure piece, and then I became afraid to make another wrong decision. Not saying that my marriage, now looking back, it wasn't a wrong decision. There's so many great things. I have 2 beautiful children that I probably wouldn't have had, you know, if it wasn't for my ex-husband. So kind of shifting the way I look at my past experience and that part of my life, instead of looking at it as something that went wrong, I was trying to focus on the positive things. and then pull from that, step into the things that I feel like keep me frozen. You know, starting a business was something that kept me frozen for a while, listening to exterior voices, family, friends. Everybody thought I was crazy. I needed something stable. You know, you have children to support, all these outside opinions. And so that instilled more fear into me. Like, well, what if I fail? Then everybody's going to say, I told you so. So for me, stepping into
paralyzing.
Yeah, totally paralyzing. And so for me, you know, stepping into my own was owning my decisions and just saying, you know what? Well, I got married and that didn't work out either, but it wasn't a failure. So if I try this and it doesn't work out, it's not a failure either. So,
yeah. I love that. Owning your own decisions and seeing it not as a failure, but as a learning experience. For myself, like one of the things that I deal with and help clients with is that feeling of perfectionism, of wanting to always be perfect and do the right thing and not mess up. And there are parts of that, like even on my own journey with like divorce and with my business that I'm building, it's like, yeah, what if I fail? You know, and the same thing, people are like, what are you doing? Like, you're on this completely different path, you know, moving to a completely different state. It's like the same thing. It's like, oh my gosh, like, what if I fail? And so it's like learning to dial down that voice and just keep following that higher, like your higher self, that intuition that's guiding you to be on this unknown journey, right? That only you know why you're there. But
because what if you don't?
Right, because what if you don't?
What if you do, but what if you don't?
Yeah. And like you said, it's not failing. Like you learn so much. Like I've learned so much from my past relationships and my journey that I'm on now. And I just love that. I'm going to take that piece with me, because right now on my entrepreneurial journey, that's where I'm at kind of with my business. I'm like, oh, what if I mess up? What if I make a mistake? And what if I've done all of this for nothing? Like I've got that fear record playing in my head, and I know it's not true, but that's what's playing. Like if my inner critic is loud enough, that's what it's playing right now. So I love hearing that, you know, just owning your decisions and knowing that there is no wrong decision.
Yeah. So what are the charities that you, tell us about the charities that you support?
So the two charities that I love to support, one is called Wish Upon a Wedding, and that is nationwide. So if there are any wedding industry professionals who are listening to your podcast that want to get involved in a really good cause, they can definitely check out their website. It's basically wedding industry professionals donate their services to less fortunate couples, whether they are, sometimes it's a veteran, you know, who's getting married. They may not be able to afford having, you know, weddings aren't cheap. We all know that. So just being able to help provide somebody who's not in a position to throw a lavish wedding, being able to provide them that experience. And so for me, I love, love, love what I do in the bridal industry. Isn't that ironic? Coming from a divorce, I still love the idea of love and marriage.
Yes, I love it.
So it really just fills me up to put a smile on a bride's face, you know, and even if it's something so simple as lipstick, or just making her feel beautiful from the inside out. You know, us as women, when we look good, we feel good. When we feel good, we look good, right? So being able to play a key role in that is just amazing. And so that's my contribution with Wish Upon a Wedding. But the photographers will donate. All the vendors, everybody donates services, dresses, whatever, anything you could think of. It's really wonderful.
Wonderful. Yeah, I like that.
I love it. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because everybody wants a happy ever after.
They do.
Whether you've been married once or twice or 5 times, at the end of the day, we're all still wanting that happy ever after in the fairy tale dream. And, you know, for some people that just can't afford to do that, why should they suffer? And, you know, when we have so many things, let's give back and support and help these women have this beautiful day.
Right. And there's usually a really inspirational story behind the couples that are selected. Like I said, so it's either maybe a wounded veteran, or maybe someone was fighting a sickness and you know, came through. Maybe they're choosing to get married before, you know, any other results are happening. But it's not just being able to afford it. It's really, truly people who deserve that experience. 1,000%.
Yeah.
So it's great. The other one, I believe, was the Covenant House that I said to you. And that holds a really special place for me. It is, I believe they're nationwide too, but they're located in New York City. They're housing for runaways, teenage runaways. And I was very colorful, I'm going to use that word, as a teenager. Rebellious, for no good reason, but just because I was a teenager. And I remember it was winter, and for no good reason, let me just say, I grew up in a great family. I was just being a totally bratty teenager, and I decided to run away because I probably wasn't getting my way at home. And it was the middle of the winter, and it was a snowstorm, and I had nowhere to go. This is way back in the day when 42nd Street was like the true 42nd Street, and it was just a really sketchy place. And I remember seeing the sign, and I don't know if you've ever seen, but it's like hands and a dove almost, you know? Yeah. And I went there, and they took me in, and I was there for 2 days. And I had fake identification with me because I was on 42nd Street. I was only 14 years old, and my fake ID said that I was 18. And so they placed me with a bunch of 18 and older young ladies who were 18 and older. We were in there comparing stories, and these girls asked me why I was there, and I had no good reason, none. And they were telling me their stories, and it was so compelling. And I remember saying, I have no business being here. I need to go home. And these girls inspired me to like call my dad. They pretty much threatened me. They're kind of like, if you're still here tomorrow, you're going to have a problem. Because if we had a good home to go home to, we would, you know? So I went home, and that experience stayed with me forever, which is why it's like it's really close to my heart. So what I like to do with them is pay it forward through like workshops, or just talking to young girls about ways they can come out on the other end, or career training, things like that. Not everybody is cut out for college or has the means to go to college. So I like to talk to them about artistry and different ways that they'll be able to, get back on their feet. So that organization.
Amazing. They have it's here in LA too. I have some friends that, really support that too. And I think it's just phenomenal. But how perfect that you landed up there that night. Right?
I know, what an experience, right?
It was
that situation.
It was so scary. Like, it was just one big open room, and like, I had to sleep with my bags underneath my head because you were afraid things were going to get stolen, and these girls were pretty much like, they called me Beverly Hills. That's when Beverly Hills 90210 was on, and that's what they were calling me. And that's why they said, like, you just need to go home. These girls didn't have a choice. I had a choice, and I was just totally not being appreciative of what my parents were giving me and what I had, because they're clearly people who didn't have that fortune, opportunity that I did. So that's why it's really just a special place for me.
Yeah. Wow. That's such an experience. I just love that all of our guests, every time we ask this question about the charities with our guests, everyone's like, oh, it's so hard to choose one. And so it just makes my heart happy that everyone we bring on has multiple charities that they love to give to and honor. So, and that's our favorite part about the show too, is just being able to share these charities with all of our listeners too. So if anyone's out there, you're looking to give back, don't forget to go to our website. We have so many charities up there now. So you should check it out on our charities page and just dive into these and learn about them and see what speaks to you. And that's what it's there for. Yeah. Cool.
So inspiring listening to you and seeing you. Like, your face is just glowing, just so much, just joy, just beautiful joy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This was lovely. I loved connecting with you that day, and even today, I knew it would be a wonderful conversation. So
thank you so
grateful
much
for your time.
inviting me. This was great.
Yes, absolutely.
Yay.
Thanks for tuning in today. If you guys are loving our episodes, we would love it if you head over to iTunes and leave us a review. It helps our podcast get found by others so we can help more wonderful women. Also, you can follow us on Instagram at Hiking in Heels. Also, you can visit our website to learn more. So thanks again for tuning in.